this hour on VTV News, bringing Vietnam-Japan relations to new heights. Later on, overseas Vietnamese support party chief's call for national reconciliation. And in world news, U.S. urges Russia and Ukraine to reach peace deal.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is currently 8 a.m. local time, and you're tuning in to 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Lin Lei with the latest updates. Now, on the top news of this hour, on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification, Party General Secretary Dolam visited and offered incense to General Võ Nguyên Giáp and General Văn Tiến Dũng. At General Võ Nguyên Giap's residence, the party leader expressed deep gratitude to the legendary commander, whose leadership was crucial to Vietnam's victories against French colonialism and American imperialism. General Võ Nguyên Giáp is honored for his lifelong dedication to the nation's revolutionary cause. At General Văn Tiến Dũng Memorial House, Party General Secretary Dolam also paid tribute to the military leader's contributions to Vietnam's liberation. General Văn Tiến Dũng played key roles in historic campaigns such as the Central Highlands Campaign and the Ho Chi Minh Campaign. The visits highlighted the party and people's respect for the two generals' immense service to the nation. Also on Monday morning, receiving the Secretary General of the ruling Mozambique Liberation Front, Frelimo Chakil Abubakar, Party General Secretary Dolam affirmed that the participation of the high-ranking delegation of the Frelimo Party and other fraternal parties around the world for the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and National Reunification Day is an encouragement for Vietnam. The Secretary General of the Frelimo Party sent congratulations to General Secretary Dolam, the party, state, and people of Vietnam on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and National Reunification Day, and affirmed that Vietnam is one of the priority partners in Mozambique's foreign policy. The two leaders also discussed and agreed on several directions to promote cooperation between the two parties, such as signing a cooperation agreement for the period from 2025 to 2030. State President Lương Cường met with Lao Party General Secretary and President Tongun Sisulith in Hà Tĩnh Province on the afternoon of Monday. The senior Lao leader is visiting Vietnam to attend the inauguration of Wharf No. 3 at Vũng Áng Port and the ceremony marking the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification. The Vietnamese state president highlighted the visit as a reflection of the close bond and special solidarity between Vietnam and Laos. The Lao leader affirmed that this anniversary celebrates a major victory for Vietnam and the global revolutionary movement. Meanwhile, both leaders agreed that the commissioning of Wharf No. 3 would help promote bilateral trade and contribute to both countries' economic development and integration. On Monday morning at the Presidential Palace, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and his wife hosted a solemn welcoming ceremony for Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru and his wife, who were on an official visit to Vietnam. After the welcoming ceremony, the two prime ministers held important talks.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính welcomed Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru to Vietnam for the first time as Prime Minister of Japan, affirmed that Vietnam considered Japan one of the most reliable and important partners of Vietnam, thanked and appreciated the contributions of ODA loans and investment from Japanese enterprises in Vietnam. Prime Minister Ishiba thanked the party, state, and peoples of Vietnam for their warmth and respectful reception and appreciated Vietnam's position and role in the regions and the world. Expressed his deep impressions of Vietnam development since his visit 35 years ago, and affirmed that Japan will continue to accompany Vietnam in the new era. After the talks, the two prime ministers witnessed the exchange of cooperation documents between the two countries' ministries and sectors in semiconductors, energies, and education, and held a press conference.
Hai đất nước chúng ta có rất nhiều việc để làm.
The two countries have many stories to tell, many achievements to be proud of, and many issues on which we can help each other. In the context of many problems in the world, the two countries agreed to promote multilateralism and international solidarity.
Given Vietnam's position and role in the region and the world, Japan prioritizes development cooperation with Vietnam. Japan supports Vietnam in developing semiconductor technology and green transformation.
The two prime ministers agree to continue discussing simplifying procedures and expanding the scope of visas for Vietnamese citizens entering Japan, aiming for 2 million tourists visiting each other yearly.
Prime Minister Phie and Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru jointly attended the Vietnam-Japan Forum on Monday in Hanoi. The leaders discussed the importance of expanding cooperation in strategic industries, high-tech, green transition, and semiconductors. More to follow.
Over 330 leaders from major corporations and enterprises of both countries attended the forum. The discussions focused on forming a cooperative ecosystem for strategic industries between the two countries. Prime Minister Phie highly valued Japanese businesses for their contribution to Vietnam's development and bilateral relations despite global uncertainties. He emphasized that semiconductors, high-tech industries, innovation, clean energy, a green economy, and a circular economy are key to fast and sustainable growth.
Bên cạnh đó thì chúng tôi đang thực hiện cái gọi là cái bộ tứ chiến lược.
We are implementing 4 key strategies. The first strategy revolves around reorganizing the political systems and administrative units. The second strategy aims for innovation and digital transformation towards rapid and sustainable economic growth. Third, we are promoting the private sector as it is one of the driving forces of national economic development. Finally, we are deepening international economic integration for an effective yet self-reliant economy that can withstand external turbulences.
The Vietnamese government leader affirmed Vietnam's commitment to supporting Japanese businesses and urged businesses to expand their investments in the country. Meanwhile, the Japanese Prime Minister highlighted Vietnam as an attractive investment destination. Both sides underscore the importance of high-tech cooperation in opening a new era in bilateral relations. Earlier in the morning, the Japanese Prime Minister and his spouse paid tribute by laying wreaths at the Bac Sern's monument of the Revolutionary Martyrs and at the Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum.
Monday, presided over by National Assembly Chairman Thang, the National Assembly Standing Committee continued its 44th session. Regarding the preparation for the 9th National Assembly session, the National Assembly Standing Committee agreed to add 13 more items to the National Assembly for consideration and approval at the 9th session. These included requesting the government report to the National Assembly on the situation and response to the taxation on Vietnamese exports to the U.S. and agreeing to withdraw 4 items, including the draft law on organization of criminal investigation agencies amended. Thus, the National Assembly will debate 64 items and groups of items at this session. National Assembly Chairman Thang requested careful preparation of the items to be presented. Ministers and heads of sectors must closely follow up until the draft law and draft resolution are passed. Permanent Deputy Prime Minister Nguyen on Monday chaired a meeting with representatives from ministries, agencies, international institutions, banks, investment funds, and investors in Hanoi. During the meeting, the Deputy Prime Minister expressed his hope that international organizations and financial institutions that have been doing business successfully in Vietnam will be the first members to be present at Vietnam's first international financial centers and have a foothold in this market. He affirmed that the government is committed to supporting businesses, creating the most favorable conditions for enterprises to expand their investment in international financial centers in Vietnam and invest in other ecosystems they are interested in. He also stressed that a draft resolution is expected to be passed in the National Assembly's meeting in May, providing a legal framework for establishing and developing international financial centers in Vietnam. Coming up next on VTV News. Overseas Vietnamese support party chief's call for national reconciliation. And later on, rare color footage of Vietnam Reunification celebration in Sweden discovered. Welcome back to VTV News Live. Party General Secretary Dolam's article, Vietnam is One, the Vietnamese people are one, has been featured in a special series by Prensa Latina. His reflections on emotional meetings with overseas Vietnamese highlight a shared love for the homeland and a call for national unity, inspiring pride and a collective push for Vietnam's development.
By choosing President Ho Chi Minh words, Vietnam is one, the Vietnamese peoples are one, as the title of his article marking the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification, Party General Secretary Dolam delivered a powerful message of national reconciliation, patriotism, and unity.
When I left Vietnam on April the 29th, 1975, I felt fear and anger. However, the Vietnamese government always regards overseas Vietnamese as an indispensable part of the country. I hope the Vietnamese people will grow closer and support each other more.
As someone living abroad, I deeply support the policy of a national reconciliation, which unites all Vietnamese, regardless of location, in building a peaceful and prosperous Vietnam for future generations.
The Party General Secretary message has strengthened overseas Vietnamese unity, with communities worldwide continuing to turn toward their homeland.
Following the party leader's article, we will harness the collective intelligence and strength of the entire nation, including the overseas Vietnamese community, an integral part in our unity.
It's a driving force, urging me to foster solidarity, whether in Vietnam, China, or anywhere in the world, always with a shared spirit that honors Vietnam's identity.
The Party General Secretary emphasized the great national unity bloc, which served as a strong foundation for Vietnam integration and development. Building a strong Vietnam is both the aspirations of today's generations and a long-term commitment to the future.
Nearly half a century ago, a Swedish director and a group of filmmakers took to the streets of Stockholm to capture a historic moment. Thousands of Swedes celebrating Vietnam's liberation of the South and national reunification in 1975. That atmosphere of solidarity was captured in valuable color films and the most advanced equipment at the time. Once thought to have been lost, the documentary was recently rediscovered at the Royal Library of Sweden and has now been presented as a gift to the Vietnam Film Institute.
Recently released to the public for the first time, this rare color footage captures a powerful moment in history: Vietnam's liberation of the South and National Reunification Day on April 30th, 1975. But this story unfolds not in Vietnam, but thousands of miles away in Sweden. The documentary The Vietnam Reunification Day in Stockholm in 1975 opens with thousands of Swedes flooding the streets to celebrate the Vietnamese people's triumph.
The biggest people movement in Sweden at that time was the Vietnam movement. When we had the news on the victory over the Americans, I went to the street together with other filmmakers and we documented what happened. Those Vietnam supporters were very happy and they spontaneously took into the streets. At that time, it was very expensive to do film, so we didn't film very much, but a lot of organizations and private persons gave money to the project because people realized that this was an important project.
Due to limited resources, only one copy of the documentary was produced and gifted to a visiting Vietnamese delegation to Sweden that summer. And 50 years later, a copy was unexpectedly found at the Royal Library of Sweden. On April 25th, the Embassy of Sweden in Vietnam held a ceremony to officially hand over the documentary to the Vietnam Film Institute.
And I was so happy that anybody found that file, and now we can fulfill the purpose was all the time to make a film, to send it to Vietnam, to show how tens of thousands of Swedes were so happy with the victory. Sweden, on the other side of the world, was very supporting their fight, and I think that will give a feeling of connections between our country.
The film is scheduled to make its debut broadcast on April 30th this year on Vietnam television channels.
50 years after the end of the war, thousands of children sent abroad for adoption during Operation Baby Lift are now adults in their 50s and 60s. Yet one question has remained unanswered throughout their lives. Who is my mother? In 2025, our journey of reconciliation began with a special bicycle trip honoring Vietnamese mothers from Ho Chi Minh City to Sóc Trăng province. This was more than just a ride. It was an invitation to reconnect, heal, and ensure that no one has to endure the pain of separation forever.
So very excited to finally be on our bikes here in Vietnam for the ride for Searching for Mothers, for Vietnam Family Search. We have a representation from some people that have come from Holland, from England, and from America, and from Australia.
I'm starting to feel a lot of calmness being in my home country, and I'm really excited for all of us adoptees that we could, find out some answers to our stories.
With the support of local authorities along the route, a group of adopted children from the non-profit organization Vietnam Family Search cycled through various provinces and cities, meeting and offering gifts to those in need. Each stop provided a chance for them to reconnect with their homeland and find healing along the way.
We've got about 200 DNA kits that have been donated, and we're taking on our charity run, going through all the villages, and we're stopping off at some government areas to give out the kits to family if parents come and test, or cousins or siblings who are looking for long-lost families.
The aim of this charity bike ride is to establish a DNA database, a crucial step in helping adopted children reconnect with their biological families 50 years after Operation Baby Lift.
In terms of the 50 years, that time is running out for our first families, because they're not going to be around forever.
Adopted to Australia 50 years ago, Kim Catford discovered the identity of his biological father 2 years ago, but this longing to find his birth mother has never faded.
I'd grown up being told you'll never find your father. You'll never, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. You will not find your father, you will not find your mother. This just could not be possible. But it is real. But I'm very fortunate. And that's, so I want others to experience that.
The adopted children were separated from their mothers during the war. 50 years later, they found their way back, carrying with them faith and a promise to their birth mother. If you still remember me, I will never stop looking for you. The lyrics of the song, continuing the story of peace, composed by Nguyen in 2023, have become a sensation in recent days. The song has been paired with images of parades in Ho Chi Minh City and features simple lyrics and heroic melody, expressing the young generation's gratitude to their forefathers. As the nation turns its heart to the south, many patriotic songs have been revived and creatively reinterpreted by artists, generating a strong wave of pride on social media.
With over 1 billion views across social media platforms, the song Continuing the Story of Peace, composed by Nguyen, has captured the hearts of many. With its simple lyrics and heroic melody, the song expresses the gratitude of the young generation towards the sacrifices of their forefathers.
This song is the voice of a young generation. I feel proud that my song is featured in clips that express the spirit of patriotism.
2 voices were selected to perform the song during the 50th anniversary of the Southern Liberation and National Reunification marching parade on April 30th. Each represents the North and the South.
I'm honored to perform such a patriotic songs, especially during this historic time.
A music video for the well-known song Aspiration of Youth by singer Tongun was generated entirely by AI and has entered YouTube's top 10 trending songs. These creative videos are spreading national pride among the public.
When performing revolutionary songs, I always try my best to perform with a strong spirit, filled with hope and patriotism.
Music is perhaps one of the closest and most direct art forms. All artists, peoples, and patriots are part of the significant 50 years of Southern liberation and national reunification.
These songs not only celebrate the country and national peace, but also connect millions of Vietnamese hearts, spreading love for the homeland and the aspiration to build a better future.
Coming up next in a bulletin. The U.S. urges Russia and Ukraine to reach peace deal. And later on, prices of Chinese products rise in the U.S. Moving on to our global updates, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Monday urged Russia and Ukraine to reach a peace deal soon, stressing that next week will be a decisive moment for the U.S.'s role as a mediator. Speaking on television, Rubio said President Donald Trump's administration is considering continuing mediation efforts of shifting to other priorities as time and resources cannot be extended without results. He warned that the U.S. has many options to respond if any side obstructs the deal. However, the priority is to avoid closing the door to diplomacy.
Well, I think they're closer in general than they've been any time in the last 3 years, but
Chinese fashion company Shein has raised prices on a range of products in the U.S., from dresses to kitchenware, ahead of new tariffs on small value imports. The average price of the 100 best-selling products in the beauty and health category on Shein's platform increased by 51% in just one day. Chinese e-commerce platforms Shein and Temu face up to 120% tariffs on many products as the U.S. government ends its duty-free policy for small packages from mainland China and Hong Kong, China. Previously, packages worth less than $800 were allowed to enter the U.S. without paying duties or custom fees. Starting May the 2nd, the handling fee per package will increase to $100. DeepSeek, a Chinese artificial intelligence tool, added its own regulations for the South Korean market, pledging to comply with the country's Personal Information Protection Act. DeepSeek said users have the right to opt out of transferring personal information to certain companies in China and the United States. The Korea Personal Information Protection Commission previously said DeepSeek transferred personal information of South Korean users to 3 companies in China and 1 in the United States without clearly stating it in its policy. DeepSeek can be downloaded again in South Korea after being suspended for about 2 months. In the winter sports resorts of the French Alps, the powdery white slopes and festive atmosphere seems to obscure a harsh reality. Drugs and trafficking networks are lurking in the community. Not only tourists, but also seasonal workers are caught up in this vortex, forcing the police to step up their action.
On a March afternoon in Val Thorens, the sight of police officers and sniffer dogs checking groups of skiers have become familiar. Despite being designed as an isolated oasis for tourists, resorts like Val Thorens are not free from social problems such as violence, crime, and drugs.
If a limpet detects anything, he sits down and we check the person.
Within hours, 3 people were fined for drug possession, mostly marijuana, but occasionally cocaine. According to the police, tourists and seasonal workers are the main drug consumers here. Groups of tourists even openly use cocaine on the mountaintop. For seasonal workers, meanwhile, drugs are a temporary escape from the pressures of work.
There are lots of drugs out there. I think they need to be regulated more strictly. It's mostly cannabis, but there can be other substances too. So we really have to be vigilant.
Under the glittering sun on the snowy slopes, Val Thorens and other alpine resorts are not only a ski paradise, but also a place to expose the dark side of society. Drugs, while creeping in quietly, are being gradually pushed back thanks to the efforts of police, authorities, and communities. But there is still a long way to go to keep these peaks truly pristine.
Up next is the weather forecast. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website or YouTube channel or download a mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.